everyone. Welcome to our daily Course in Miracles lessons. My name is Tina Louise Spalding and I'm a trance channel. Today we are doing lesson number 66. My happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection. Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. It is not a two-way battle. The ego attacks, and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. He knows that it is your happiness. Today we will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attack on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is. Our longer practice period today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function God gave you and your happiness, but they are actually identical. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function He gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. Begin the 10 to 15 minute practice period by reviewing these thoughts. God gives me only happiness. He has given my function to me. Therefore, my function must be happiness. Try to see the logic in the sequence, even if you do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false. Let us then think about the premises for a while as we are practicing. The first premise is that God gives you only happiness. This could be false, of course, but in order to be false, it is necessary to define God as something He is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. God cannot give what He does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. Unless God gives you only happiness, He must be evil. And it is this definition of Him you are believing if you do not accept the first premise. The second premise is that God has given you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by the ego and is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit where truth abides. There are no other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice, but the fear that the ego always engenders and the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. Thus it must be that your function is established by God through His voice, or is made by the ego which you have made to replace Him, which is true. Unless God gave your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego. Does the ego really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts? Think about this during the longer practice period today. Think also about the many forms the illusion of your function has taken in your mind, and the many ways in which you tried to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We need great honesty today. Remember the outcomes fairly and consider also whether it was even reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice. You will listen to madness or hear the truth. Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusion rests. We can share in this conclusion, but in no other, for God himself shares it with us. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, and the different as different. On one side stand all illusions. All truth stands on the other. Let us try today to realize that only the truth is true. In the shorter practice periods, which would be most helpful today if undertaken twice an hour, this form of the application is suggested. My happiness and function are one because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute and probably less to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little while as you say them. That is lesson number 66. My happiness and my function are one. See what Jesus has to say today. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one that you know as Jesus, and this is a very, very important lesson for you to contemplate. We want you to listen to that explanation several times. We want you to realize that this is a very, very logical progression of conclusions. If there is such a thing as God, and that God is loving, then anything that is not loving is not of God, and therefore not real, illusory. So when you go into your own experience of your world through your emotional guidance system and through your observations and these sorts of things, anything that is not loving is not real, and it is not of God, and you don't want it in your mind. So when you see yourself being hateful or judgmental, which you will all see, we are not cursing you for that. We are merely taking you on a journey, holding your hand to show you the truth. There is nothing to be ashamed of in realizing that the ego is driving your actions. This is why this training program is necessary, to bring you back into a place of alignment, because the ego has been fed too much food and is too strong. The ego itself will recede in its importance back into a place of manageability as you begin to master these teachings. You will begin to see that you don't want what frightens you. You don't want to attack people. You don't want to demean yourself by abusing your body or abusing somebody else's body. You will slowly and surely turn around on that road. There is a road, one road, and it is towards love or away from love. And as you walk away from love, you feel worse and worse and worse. But each step on that road you choose to take. You have free will. And that is why the concept of hell that is laid upon you is incorrect. You are not punished by a God. You are merely having a reflection of your own inevitable choices day by day, moment by moment. There is only one road. You feel better the closer you get to love. You feel worse the further away you get from love. But you are the chooser. But as you experience unloving experiences, as you experience unloving thoughts, you are walking away from the truth. You are stepping away from that which is whole, that which is holy, and that is what is happening here. You are beginning to be given the right information so that you can make the right decisions, so that you can say, I don't want to feel fear. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to hurt anyone else. I want to accept my purpose, which is to be happy and in a place of peace. And I have been given the means in this strange communication device, the computer, and my big blue book. I have been given the means to achieve peace. And I am willing to do that work, because the alternative, there is only one alternative, and that is the ego's world. And we say, take a look around you. Take a look at what the ego accomplishes. It is not such a pretty thing. It does not deserve your condemnation, but it does deserve your intelligent and honest appraisal. I am that one that you know as Jesus, and we will speak to you again tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.